Can you reduce your physical pains or restrictions in 14 days? Yes, you can. What's up, legend? In this video, I'm going to walk you through a tactical and practical guide to reduce your physical pains in the upcoming 14 days. How do I know? Well, my friend, I've been practicing and studying movement and mobility training for the last 5+ years. And I've helped over a dozen of people with my one-on-one online coaching program, in which I help them eliminate their physical restrictions or issues in 3 to 6 months. But let's flash back to 2019, because this was the moment I decided to make a physical change that was radical. I've been suffering from a torn ACL injury, had meniscus issue, and had a lot of pain in my right shoulder every time I was doing some pushing work. So I was 26 then, and I was like, how the hell am I so young, but does my body feel like worn out vintage clothing from the 1970s? My body felt miserable, and I don't have to tell you that if your body is in a bad state, well, probably you're in a bad state as well. So I had surgery, I rehabilitated from my ACL injury, and in October 2019, I will never forget it, I joined a movement and mobility school here in Amsterdam. And to be quite frank, it completely reshaped my thinking in how we're meant to move. I went from an aesthetic first approach to a function first approach. But I saw with the movement and mobility practice that a lot of the exercises were meant for people who already had a certain level of mobility and flexibility. So over the last 5 years, I've been designing my own reset method that is more targeted to help people see the results of their mobility efforts faster. That's why I developed this 14-day reset challenge to help you reduce your pain and restrictions in a shorter time frame so you regain confidence over your own body. So without further ado, let's dive in. So welcome to the 14-day reset challenge. First of all, I'm very excited that you're here, but quite frankly, I'm also a bit sad because nobody wants to be in pain and nobody wants to face restrictions inside of their body. Maybe that's one of the reasons why you're here. Maybe you have a specific issue in one of your body parts. Maybe you feel a little bit more limited in just performing day-to-day tasks, or you can't train at full capacity right now, or it can be something else. I know this can be very, very frustrating because in my humble opinion, there's just nothing better to have a supple, resilient, and strong body that can move in and out of different ranges of motion without feeling a risk of getting injured or developing pains that can be chronic or something worse. So this 14-day reset challenge is really meant to help you take the first steps in reducing your aches and pains. So what I really want you to have after this 14-day challenge, that you have clarity about what mobility training really is, what the advantages are, and how it can help you get rid of your pain and restrictions. I also want you to feel better about your body because you'll notice that your pains and restrictions are slowly reducing at a steady pace. And of course, most importantly, I want you to have tangible results in how your body is operating, which gives you more confidence and about eliminating those pains or restrictions for good, because that's what we're here for. And of course, in all honesty, 14 days won't be enough to completely heal you from your pains, but it can be a massive start. As the law of inertia states, going from 0 to 1 is harder than going from 1 to 100. So this is really about getting you in motion, getting you to experience what it means to slowly start reducing those aches and pains and feel confident in your body again. So enough with the chit chat, let's dive in. And you can use this video, of course, as a guide through. You can also scan the content in this document by yourself. So without further ado, let's dive in. Why mobility? Because that's what we're here for. So in my 5 years of doing movement and mobility training, there is just one principle that completely changed the way my body operates. And that is twofold. It's strengthening your active range of motion, and it is strengthening all of the ranges of motion that you have available to you. And that is really what mobility training is referring to. And there are a little bit of questions around, okay, but what is the difference between flexibility and mobility? Well, let me just explain it in a short time. So mobility is your active range of motion. Flexibility is your passive range of motion, and there's a difference there because the former, the first one, is telling you how strong you are in your range of motion, in the range of your joints. And this is often something you can control. You can imagine if you can contract in a certain range, if I can bring my arm overhead, I'm contracting, I'm utilizing different body parts to get into this flexion of the shoulder. So that contraction is allowing me to control that range of motion. However, flexibility, the latter, is just the end range of your joint. And it is often something you can't control, because I can bring my arm up to here, but maybe by applying an external force with a band or somebody else, they can bring me even further. But that further part is often the area that I can't control. So what we're trying to do with mobility, we're trying to decrease the gap between the range that is available to us and gain strength in that available range. So to get out of pain or eliminating your restrictions, we need to prioritize a way of training that allows us to strengthen where we are most vulnerable, just like I briefly explained with the gap. And that is often with the end range of our motion. With a lot of the traditional and more conventional fitness strength training, you're training the mid-range of your muscles, but actually it's the end range that also has a leeway into tendons that is a bit more vulnerable to us. So that is the area where we really want to gain this strength. And when it comes to mobility, the body is very strict. You either use it or you lose it. And in this challenge, what I did is I took a look at all of the people I helped, and also taking a look at my own previous experience with being as stiff as a board and then having to work through it over 5 years. I've looked at the 3 most common weak links inside of the body, which we're gonna dive into and have a focus on in this 14-day challenge, which are first the shoulder. Many people have shoulder injuries with either bringing too much load, having too less capacity, not working all of the degrees of freedom or the ranges available to us inside of the shoulder. Also because it is a ball and socket joint, which means it is a very movable joint, but it also lacks a bit of stability. Then we have the spine. Spine is also super underutilized inside of the body, and because it doesn't get a lot of nutrition, movement nutrition, it is stiff, it faces lower back issues, the thoracic region is very limited, and finally we also have the hips, and the hips are also a big issue with a lot of people, not only due to the sedentary nature of how we're operating right now, but also other elements in life that have an influence on it. So these 3 elements, if you work on those consistently for a longer period of time, I will guarantee you that most of your restrictions and pains will be reduced. Of course, that's not for everybody, but it's a very good place to start. So, how to get started? Well, the challenge is constructed in a way that everyone can participate, but you can also scale it to your own level. And the complete routine takes around 15 minutes per day. You can also do it multiple times if you're really into it, and if you also have the time, that's very important. But I just want to give you some instructions before diving in so you can maximize the results that you're going to get in this 14-day period. So there are some guidelines. So perform the routine on the time of day that you feel causes the least amount of friction. This can be the morning, afternoon, and evening. And why is this so important? Well, this 14-day period is a nice way to get you from 0 to 1, but preferably I would want you to develop this routine into a consistent 6 to maybe 12 week program so that you can really benefit from this reset protocol or this reset program over a longer period of time, because eventually this 14-day challenge will help you already get nice tangible results, but you want to be consistent with mobility training for a longer period of time to really reap the benefits for the upcoming years, basically. So what I also would like you to do is write down your observations or insights per session, and you can use a notebook, you can grab a pen or paper, but this is very important because we're super focused on the quantitative things, the quantitative side of things. So how much weight did we lose? How many reps did we did? How many kilos did we benched? Which is great. It gives us just a nice way of looking at our progress over a period of time. but the qualitative part gets underutilized in my opinion. And the qualitative part is really about creating a better relationship with your body in terms of what it is telling you over a longer period of time. And especially when it comes to reducing aches and pains or restrictions, it addresses more the subtle layers, and the subtle layers will be exposed once you get into the writing of things. And it really has helped me over the years to really get a better grasp of maybe there are some aches and pains or restrictions that I might feeling. Maybe it's something they're trying to tell me. So this is not a point that you want to skip. Additionally, in terms of enhancing the results that you can get from this reset challenge, I want you to aim for a 6 to 8 hours of sleep per night, and preferably also in a consistent fashion. So you going to bed and get up at a system time, because this can really improve the quality of your sleep, as it has an influence on your circadian rhythm. And also because having a proper night of sleep has huge benefits when it comes to your recovery. And recovery is just as important as the stress and strain that we apply to the body. Additionally, also some basics: drink around 2 to 2.5 liters of water. And of course, also for the recovery element, eat around 1 gram of protein per kilo body weight. Pro tip: film yourself. If you really want to accelerate the process of this 14-day reset challenge, filming yourself is a great way to monitor differences. This is the quantitative part, while also touching a bit on the qualitative part, but filming yourself can be the best teacher in your life when it comes to developing your physicality. So film yourself on the first day and the last day of the challenge. And my advice is also to shoot it in a way that is easy to do. So it might be that you just place your phone in a portrait mode and then just get the shots. Make sure that you do it in a consistent fashion. So if you take a shot maybe outdoors at a certain spot, make sure to do it after 14 days at the same location at around the same position of the camera. Okay, now I hope you're ready for the reset routine. What I would like you to do is to complete the routine in one go by following A1, then A2, then A3, then all the way to A6, because it involves 6 exercises, and you take around 30 to 60 seconds between those exercises. And what you can do is you can do 2 to 3 sets in total per day in one go. So you really dedicate a longer time frame to this, around 15 minutes, or you can split up the sets across the day, whatever works for you. So just make sure that you aim to hit around 2 to 3 sets per day. First off, we're addressing a bit of elements in the shoulders with the elbow circles. So what the elbow circles do is they accelerate and go into a quicker fashion or a quicker movement fashion, which helps to work the internal and external range of motion of the shoulder by keeping the elbows fixed and going in a very accelerated manner. And what it also does, it works a bit of the elastic properties in the body, which are often underutilized, especially when it comes to mobility training. So this really has a beneficial effect when it comes to improving and strengthening your internal and external capacities of the shoulder, while also addressing a bit of these elastic properties that we often don't utilize. Under here, with the highlight section, you have a couple of pointers. Of course, if you click on the video, there will also be video instructions or voice-over instructions. But here on the left are a couple of pointers that you can implement per exercise. I would just highlight that you will check them out per exercise, because you will probably need it once you go into action mode. Then we have scapular controlled articular rotations. So this is a very nice way to address one of the most important and critical elements of the shoulder, which are the scapes. The scapes act as stabilizer for this very mobile shoulder joint. So what we're trying to do here is improve fine motor control in the shoulder blades by strengthening the end ranges of what your current capacity is with the shoulder blades. So the shoulder blades can move into a couple of directions. In this case, we're gonna address retraction. So we're going to kiss the shoulder blades on the back, on the posterior portion of the body. Then we have protraction, so which is moving away the shoulder blades. Then we have elevation, so bringing the shoulder blades up towards the sky. And then we have depression, is by bringing them or going towards the ground with the shoulder blades. And this scapular cars is a very nice way to improve that strength in all of those regions, while also improving fine motor control, which is also very beneficial for a lot of other exercises that you might do strength related, but also increase just joint health of your shoulder. So very nice exercise, and this is where we have addressed the shoulder part. Then we go a little bit more towards the spine. Spine, very important to address, especially with the restrictions that we're facing nowadays. So with the wall rotation angels, what we're doing is we're making contact with the wall and we're staying in contact with the wall. So we don't use equipment here. I just want you to use a body and maybe sometimes a floor and wall to make it very available and easy to do. So with the wall rotation angels, what we're trying to do is we're trying to improve your rotational capacity of the thoracic or mid region of the spine, which is one of the most restricted elements or body parts of for most people, and it just has a very big influence in how we feel, because you can imagine the spine is in the center of the body, and if it gets hampered, if it feels restricted, it just ripples to all of the other parts, to the extremities of the body. So giving some love and nutrition, movement nutrition to this mid region by working its rotational capacity is just very important. And the wall rotation angels are a very nice way to do so. Then one of the elements that I really took a lot of benefit from is this spinal segmentation. So your ability to really go granular when it comes to moving the spine is being applied with the spinal segmentation. So what this really does is it improves the fine motor control and your ability to articulate the back or the complete spine, and also create more strength and mobility by working those vertebrae in a segmented way or fashion. So this is very important. Don't skip it, because it's a super important drill, and you will also notice that it has just a beneficial effect when it comes to moving the extremities, and also as an enhancer for other activities that you might be doing. And also because we're living very sedentary, just the ability to become more sensitive and more articulate with the spine is very important. So now we move towards the lower regions, towards the hips. And we start with the horse stance. So the horse stance is a very nice way to strengthen the abductors, get a bit of stretch going in the adductors, also increasing your capacity to keep your pelvis in a neutral or anterior or posterior tilt. So it has some elements or benefits to controlling your pelvis, becoming also a bit more sensitive and aware of how the pelvis is positioned, how you can articulate or just move it a little bit in your capacity, and of course working those adductors, which is very beneficial, and for a lot of people something they neglect in their daily or life practice. So that's what it comes to the horse stance. Then we go towards the diagonal stretch. So one of the elements that we also have some issues with is of course the hip flexor. So we're sitting a lot, we're in a hip flexed position, and what we're trying to do here is engage the glutes, so working a bit of the posterior chain, but also addressing this hip extension, so extending the hip and making sure that we're also building up strength in towards those end ranges. So this is the complete program, the reset challenge that you're gonna execute. Again, follow the guidelines and make sure that you do this for the upcoming 14 days, 2 to 3 sets per day. Now we go to the checklist. So the checklist is a very potent way to hold yourself accountable. As I just already mentioned, consistency is key. In this 14-day challenge is a nice way to go from 0 to 1, but you can use this template to checkbox each and every day and make sure that you're hitting the challenge in full capacity. So I've outlined this checklist so you can keep yourself accountable, and you can also list down how many sets you performed, which part of the day you did it, and also did you complete it, the most important part. So This is the complete reset challenge. I hope you like it. I hope you can feel the benefits and start to reduce your aches and pains and physical restrictions in the upcoming 14 days. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to reach out to one of these channels, and you can ask me anything about the challenge, of course, and how, yeah, whatever you feel you want to ask, you can ask me. And for the rest, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you soon. Ciao.